Hey, Tommy, obviously there was a lot of talk out there over the last few weeks about UCLA and their scheduling and the games they chose and one of not choosing you to play. I mean, what were your thoughts on that and how did you kind of feel about the way that whole thing went down?
Well, listen, I don't know if if they chose or the league chose or wherever. It's kind of hard to pin it down at sometimes, but whatever. I mean, we haven't lost any sleep about it, and we're dealing with the situation as it comes. And from what I've learned about this COVID situation in basketball is, if I sit in my little silo and try to solve all the problems, it really doesn't matter. So I just try to approach it day to day and work with the administration here and get what we hear from the league office, we react to, and that's all I've been focused on. And I don't think we were ever felt like we had a game that was in place that was taken away from us or anything like that. So we're at where we're at, and there's reasons things happen, and we're just going to move forward and hope we play well tomorrow.
And in that Washington game, Azuolas had 6 assists, 5 of which went to Christian Coloco. And I know that was probably largely a byproduct of how you guys were attacking that zone defense. But what did you just kind of like about that action that they had with each other? And it seemed like a lot of those passes Azuolas were making were almost immediate, where he wasn't even thinking about it. He was getting the ball and immediately dumping it down to Christian underneath.
Well, Zoo had 6 assists, but he also had 5 turnovers. So the assists are great, but the turnovers aren't so good. And he has a potential as a passer. He just got to tighten it up. And I love it when bigs pass together and play together. I think it's really important because usually in our offense, the bigs find themselves in the middle of the floor. When you're in the middle of the floor, it's hard to establish help side defense. So if your bigs can play over the top to each other, there's opportunities there. We don't want to live and die by it, but it's definitely a piece to the offense that I like. Both man and zone attacks.
Next question, Bruce Pasco.
Hey, Tommy, just following up on David's question. The games, did the Pac-12 communicate with you guys? It seems like there's, no fans in LA, possible television window conflicts or concerns maybe with their guys. I don't know. There's obviously also been accusations that maybe there's some gamesmanship going on here with some of the coaches. I don't know. What has the Pac-12 told you specifically about why these games aren't being played?
I'm not aware of any gamesmanship or anything like that going on. And listen, I know, everybody on the outside looking in wants to, sit around and try to, look through the haystack and find little reasons, and whatever, like we got slighted. Listen, we haven't been slighted. The situation's hard for everybody. I mean, I feel I've talked to Jamie in the conference office. I feel for him. He's got a really hard job. These are, solutions that are, not everybody's going to be 100% happy with. And, it might work out for you one time. It might not work out for you the next. So that's how I've approached it. To be honest with you, I haven't spent any time, him and Erhan, on it because, I just want to do the best job I can with our group and make sure, when we come out of this, that we hopefully play well. I mean, and ultimately, I think you can use the situation as an excuse, and you can look for excuses, or you can use it as a reason to try to get better, and that's what we've chose to focus on.
Right. And that said, I guess I was just wondering, just specifically about not having fans in LA, if that was communicated to you as an issue, because obviously you guys would be a big draw, and or maybe they wanted you on a different television window, and ESPN couldn't take you this last weekend. And was any of that a possibility or a problem, do you think?
Neither one of those was given to me as an excuse why we didn't play. So and to be honest with you, Bruce, I didn't do a lot of digging because it's one of those deals. You're gonna feel like you're doing something, but you're really not doing anything constructive. So I've chose to focus on what I think are constructive things. I'll let you dig.
Okay. Well, I was wondering, just one final thing on that. How does that affect you as a coach, though? Because you've got this extra time, and maybe you're going to play in a few days, maybe you're not. How do you? And what did you do over these last 8 days?
Well, we practiced. I mean, that's what you do. I mean, I just told our guys, you do experience this more often than they know. I mean, every year at the start of the season, we practice, and we practice a lot. We practice probably too much, and then you know what? It's leading up to play a game. And I always just tell our guys, don't forget how excited you were to play in those first early games. And sometimes that excitement and that energy wears off as you get into the kind of the routine of a season. And I just reminded our guys, when we get a chance to play tomorrow night, let's be thankful for it. And the way you show how you're thankful is you go out and you play incredibly hard and you play together. And, there's no guarantees how we're going to play tomorrow, but I'm hoping our guys, come out excited to play. I mean, that's been the message from us.
Next question, Justin Spears.
How did you perform at Topgolf the other day?
I didn't. I actually, spent a lot of time with my family this weekend, which, you don't usually get an opportunity to do in the season, and kind of just used it as a little bit of a reboot. And the guys were on their own at Topgolf, and trust me, I would not have positively impacted their performance. I can promise you that.
And with this much time off, are there any, pros and cons? Like pros, obviously, health-wise, but cons, maybe you guys lose a little bit of momentum because you have just so much time off.
Yeah, but again, it's like I told you, it's like the start of the year. I mean, you practice at the start of the year and you play a game, and then hopefully you play well. So we've done it before. You do it after Christmas break, and then again, I don't know how tomorrow's going to go, and I imagine Colorado's going to have some input on how it goes. I'm not worried about us being rusty. I'm not worried about us being unmotivated because, we have a choice in how we want to come out and play. And I'm hoping our guys choose, the right things: effort, energy, excitement.
Next question, Brian Peterson.
Tommy, you're going to go from a team in the Pac-12 that feasts off trying to force turnovers and go about that to a Colorado team that doesn't really go that route. It's a little bit more of making you work harder on defense. What have you done to try to work with that while also still addressing the turnover issue?
Well, I mean, yeah, we've had a couple games where we've turned the ball over against teams that are really good at creating turnovers, and we need to be better in those areas. And we work on it every day, and we're going to continue to work on it. And hopefully the message has gotten through. Colorado is, rock solid, and, they're rock solid at both ends of the floor. They got a proven coach who's been in this conference a long time. He's won a lot of games and he knows what he's doing. It's going to be a great challenge for us. Where Washington maybe plays a style of play that you only play against a couple times a year because it's pretty unique. Colorado's a little bit more traditional, probably aligns a little more closer to us. So, hopefully, our guys get out, we can get our offense burning and churning and get to moving our bodies and moving the ball how we like to. And then hopefully we get great opportunities off of that.
And just to get it on the record, is Kim still out?
Yes.
Okay.
Next question, Alec White.
Yeah, would you expect the 3 makeup games with UCLA, ASU to get made up before the end of the regular season? And if not, would you apply for the waiver to do a non-conference game?
We've already, been down the road with the non-conference stuff, and obviously our preference is to play conference games. Throw together a non-conference game this time of year sounds good, and I know all you guys, sitting back banging on your keyboards think it just happens, but there's just way more that goes into it. And there's conference offices, there's programs, and then just to actually make it happen, it's proven to be really difficult. The last couple of years it's happened, but it's definitely not as easy as what it may seem. And I would expect all those conference games to be made up, and we're ready to play them. We know it's going to create some log jams in the schedule, probably for everybody. But again, it's an opportunity to compete and play a game against other good teams. So we're going to welcome those opportunities when they're presented to us.
I'll make one last call. Do we have any more questions for Coach Lloyd? Yes, Bruce, go ahead.
Yeah, Tommy, along those lines, I mean, the one thing about that is if you do play those games, you're looking at what, at least three game weeks, or maybe you can squeeze in one before ASU that second time. I didn't know, is that, how do you look at that? And are you concerned at all about it? And maybe especially if it has to be in February where you're down the stretch and, maybe guys are going pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me it looks like everybody's going to have those issues, and in order to get a full conference season in, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. The unfortunate thing is, if you schedule games a couple weeks out, you can't predict injuries, you can't predict stuff like that. So hopefully it'll all work out for everybody. And obviously, that week we play ASU at home. I mean, there's a slot there to play a makeup game, and hopefully that gets created. And, I think the makeup game with ASU should be pretty easy. I mean, there's not a lot of travel, organization that has to be done. Both teams can just jump on a bus and be there a couple hours later. So hopefully we'll find an agreeable date that works for both teams and, doesn't really put either team in a huge bind going forward.
Do you expect that? I mean, is there kind of a tentative date that it would seem to make sense that you play Cal on a Sunday, not ASU till the next Saturday? I mean, do you tentatively have one of those games, or have you have an agreement? And if so, I'm wondering too, like, does it work? Like you say you're talking with Jamie, but I didn't know, like, you first sometimes casually talk to Bobby Hurley or whoever and say, hey, how about this day? Or does that work for you guys? And then go to Jamie, or how does that work? And then again, do you think that game,
Well, generally it works. You work through your administration on a lot of those things. And I'm sure there are some conversations coach to coach. But I'm kind of the newbie to the league, so maybe don't have the relationships with the coaches like some of the other guys. So I've just been pretty much working through our administration. And the week before Arizona State makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm hoping we plug something in there soon.
Okay. Right, because that would affect your planning next week, I would think too. Like, do you figure you might know in the next few days how that week plays out?
Well, hey, I mean, at this stage, you need to be ready to plan day to day, hour by hour. So we'll react accordingly when we know what's coming down the pipe.
And so, who is I think Pella said Jordan is the best golfer. Is that true, or what's your take as the best golfer?
Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting. I haven't seen a lot of the swings. I mean, we've been to Topgolf, earlier in the year, and to be honest with you, I didn't think any of them looked good. So, that was my assessment. So, I mean, I prefer them in, working on their shooting, working on their footwork, things of that nature, rather than out golfing. But I'm glad they got the opportunity to get out and do something as a team, because it's hard in these in these times, for sure.
Cool, thanks.
We have time for one last question. We'll go back to David Kelly.
Hey, Tommy, real quick, I saw an article about you in high school that said you went as Tom Lloyd versus Tommy Lloyd in high school. Yeah. What's that? Usually it's the other way around. People go as the Y ending thing as a child and then remove it as an adult. But it seems like you kind of reversed that.
I guess it's Benjamin Button. I'm trying to stay young, I guess. I don't know. And to this day, the only person that calls me Tom is my mom. So let's keep it that way.
Did you and Adia do the lunch yet?
Who?
Did you and Adia do the lunch thing yet?
No, COVID protocols. We're staying. No, we'll get to that later. Both of us are busy, and that's one of the tough things. I know they're having a great year, but when you're coaching a season that parallels theirs, and when they're home, we're away, and vice versa. You don't get a bunch of time to connect. But I know they're having a great season, and I'm sure they'll continue to really have a strong season. And her and I will catch up after the season, and we'll probably have to negotiate this lunch deal, because I think going on COVID pause, not playing that Texas game when we had to play at Tennessee, that's I don't know if that's a fair break on my end.
All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.